Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Isaiah, and if I'm a little more muted today, it's a combination of just trying to take a Discord break of sorts for a day or two, and I've just got through a surprise move up on my psych appointment. Um, so that's always exhausting, having to go through 20 years of trauma. Um, but no, it's also low key high energy because I had no idea what I was going to talk about today. And then I was watching Swell Entertainment on YouTube. As discussed, I have a YouTube problem. And she had a review of Julie and the Phantoms. I got about halfway through it and then I was like, fuck it, I'm going to watch this myself. And I did. And it's awesome. And I am in love with a TV show. I'm sorry, Briar. Um, Julie and the Phantoms is a TV show that came out in September on Netflix. It's apparently based off of a TV show from Brazil, I believe. And it's 9 episodes long. And I love it, but gotta try to actually talk about it. So the main character is Julie. She's a 15-year-old girl who's like in a music program. Her mom died about a year ago, from what it sounds like, and she hasn't been playing anything since. She hasn't sung a note, period. She's just kind of existed. It's a big fat mood. Um, then one day, like, she is being told, hey, by the way, you are going to be kicked out of the music program because someone new is joining in, etc., etc. And there's only a limited amount of spots, and you've not sung for a year. This was your last chance. That she blew. There's also the stereotypical mean girl. She's even blonde, who is extremely mean, and they used to be friends. But when I say extremely mean, she is poking fun at poor Julie because she left the room crying instead of playing piano because she used to make music with her mom. Her mom was super into music, that sort of thing. Dad is tr- convinced Julie to try and clean out the garage that was their mom's like studio space, and Jolie finds a CD and decides instead of cleaning up, she's going to listen to it, which brings the Phantoms. Because way back in 1995, this takes place in 2020 by the way, but way back in 1995 there was a band called Sunset Curve or something like that, and three of the band members died from eating rancid street dogs, or just they died from eating hot dogs, and apparently got trapped in their CD that, and it only came out when Julie played it, which is such a fantastic start, especially when they mention Alex, one of the bandmates, had had been crying in there, and he's like, "There's no way I've been crying for 25 years," but no, he has been. Um, and the three bandmates are Luke, Reggie, and Alex. Luke is the head of the band. He kind of has a crush on Julie, which is fun. They're all 17, by the way. The ghosts are all 17, and he is kind of the most well-rounded one. It's interesting because each one of the band members that died had issues with their family. Luke actually left home in a fight because he didn't have, like, he got in a huge fight with his parents and he never went back, and he regrets it. He wrote a song that was to Emily, which is his mom's name, and which made me cry. Reggie is the bass guitarist. He's kind of an idiot, and I love him for it. I am high key certain that he's actually bi, but he actually has really. I don't know his past history so much. I've only watched this one through once through so far. I'm about to start watching it again because you need that serotonin, baby. But Reggie is kind of an idiot. The band is his family, and he looks like he took inspiration from the movie Grease, and he's developed the weird fondness for Julie's family, the dad and the boy, to the point where the little brother Carlos, Reggie will randomly do stuff to show him that ghosts are real because Carlos is super interested in ghosts, and everyone's like, "Oh, Carlos, ghosts aren't real. You're not being haunted." And Reggie just also really appreciates the dad's photography, and I love it. They're so cute. Alex is actually the reason why I decided to start watching it because he is openly gay, and it's not like a huge thing that he was gay in 1995. He's just the band has accepted him. His family kicked him out, so the band is his family as well. But that's like the worst thing that happens. And oh my god, I am here for this show if only because he goes out for a walk because Alex is full of anxiety and is like, I'm not good with change, and yet so much stuff has changed. We were dead and now we're back and we don't know what's going on. Do you know how much change this is? And so he goes on a walk and he gets run over by a skater boy who happens to be dead, and his name is Willie. And he straight up does the helmet off hair flip. Alex is so gay in that moment, and so am I. It's great. Um, I'm not even mad that they haven't kissed yet because they had this moment where Alex just grabbed and hugged him so tight and was like, "Oh my god, you're so awkward. I love you, Alex. Never change." Um, but so Julie is the only one that can see these three band people, and they're obsessed with music and they're obsessed with like their band, and they're to the point of saying, "Hey, tell your friends," which she then picks up when they start putting a band together. And because these are 17-year-old boys, they're super nosy and they find out that her mom died and that she actually, Julie is very skilled in piano and singing. And through shenanigans, they create a band. And they convince that the lifers, the living people, that when the three boys show up, they're holograms because they can't be seen by anyone but Julie unless they're performing with Julie. Then they can be seen, but only while the music is playing, so they don't get to stick around for the applause either. Um, and Willie, the dead skater boy, who actually got hit in traffic while he was skateboarding, it's fantastic. Um, he has he has connections to other dead people, which comes important because Sunset Curve or Sunset Swerve, Sunset Curve, it actually used to have four members. So three of them died, and one of them lived because he was being vegetarian or something, and he was trying to hit on a woman, who ends up being Julie's mom in the future. Um, and the dude lived and then proceeded to take Luke's music and release them all as his own stuff. So he got really rich, and he's actually the dad of the bully blonde girl. Um, so the bandmates get really distracted by the fact that this guy has fucking stolen their music and this shit, and they try to haunt him. They were happy for a bit, but they want to actually speak to Trevor and give him a piece of their mind. Trevor being the dad slash dude who stole the music, that sort of thing. Um, so Willie's like, "Hey, I know someone that can help you," and takes him to this club where ghosts can interact with the living. And there's this ghost, and I swear to God, the villain is fantastic. I love him. I want him. I am asexual, and yet, because this dude is a former magician who died through one of his tricks, and now he runs this club, and he's a very powerful ghost, and he has a purple crushed velvet with sparkly decorations, and he sings so well, and I'm just like, oh, my gay beating heart, stand still. He is very charismatic, and he ends up being extremely disappointed when he finds out that our three bandmates are able to be seen at all, because he's like, I'm the most powerful one. I don't need anyone else to be as powerful as me. And when he can't convince them to join his house band, he stamps them. Which Willie is like, what the fuck? I didn't know you were going to do that to them. Willie is owned by this guy whose name is Caleb. Um, and the stamps are shit because what they do is they just steadily sap a ghost of their energy until they disappear. They don't pass on, they don't stay. they just cease to exist. And that is incredible. And I love it. And I want to know how Caleb got this stamp. Did he make it? Because he is the only ghost that seems to be really capable of these sort of things in Hollywood. So because they stayed there for so long, and they're, again, just, they are using Alex's crush on Willie in the best way. They even do the thing where he's looking for Willie, but he gets distracted and told to go dance with a couple of other dudes, so he goes to have fun. Then Willie sees him having fun with these other guys and is like, oh, I am upset about this, and I don't quite understand why. And I'm like, oh my god, I love this. Please give me more. And that's when I looked up to see if they were ever going to kiss, and apparently they didn't kiss in season one. I now know that because of that. I looked that up, and I've watched it now. And they're not sure if they're going to kiss in season two, because there's going to be a season two, because it's being filmed near COVID. And the only thing that irritates me is like, a gay kiss is hard to do during COVID. You could just have called it a kiss. Whatever. Media never understands, but Alex understands. He understands me. And so because of that, they were also supposed to perform with Julie at a dance, and they end up ghosting her. Haha. And she gets pissed off with them and quits the band because she's like, this was super important to me. And they're like, well, this was important to us. And she's, the typical thing. It lasts all of like 10 minutes, and then they're back together again because she's like, okay, yeah, no, I get it. This is stupid on all of our parts. Meanwhile, Julie's dad starts figuring shit out. I'm still going to have to do a video on fantastic fictional dad characters, but I swear, like, every man in this show is just oozing masculine role models, and I'm here for it because single dad, has a lot on his plate, grieving his wife. He was prepared to sell the home as much as he didn't want to because he thought it would help his daughter move on because she hasn't sung in over a year. She finally does start singing, and she's not in her program anymore because she got kicked out for not performing. He starts looking up new programs for her to join, but she gets back in. He was prepared to send her to Australia so that she could follow her passion. Good ass dad. He also indulges as his son. He later on, Carlos thinks that they're being haunted by a chef. He finds a really old recipe for French dip. Dad's like, cool, we're listening to him. We'll go make this French dip and see if we can't make the chef pass on. I love it. Also, the main character is like half black, half Latina. The dad is Latina, I believe, because the auntie Tia Victoria, is just oozing Latina mom energy, and I'm here for her. She's also incredibly smart because, like, the moment she started believing things were haunted, she ran out and was like, you have to move. I've seen enough horror movies, and the aunt never makes it, and books it. And I'm here for that. You don't even see her in the house again until after it's been confirmed that it's no longer haunted. She's on like a Skype call or something with the dad. Oh, God, I love it. Um, But the main story, back to that. So, band guys are now being zapped of their energy. That comes out. They're like, we don't know what to do about this. Willie is being a little sneak because his soul is being owned by Caleb, but he still wants to see Alex because he is gay, because they are gay and they are doing the thing, and I'm still here for it. Julie's having a sort of love triangle because the boy that she's had a crush on for ages is finally broken up with the mean girl and is paying attention to her, but she's like, I don't have a thing for Luke, so she turned down the living boy for the dead boy. And as a person who loves ghosts, I'm okay with that. That's fine. Also, her friend now knows that she has ghost bandmates, and she's here for it. She thinks they're all cute as fuck, but they're dead, so why are you doing this? Um, the best friend is also a DJ, and that is fantastic. The mean girl is just existing. But eventually they figure out, okay, we're either going to fucking like disappear off the face of the earth, or we can try to finish our business and move on. And they're all like, well, we don't want to just not exist. We might as well move on because we also don't want to be in the house band. We would rather do music our way. And very reluctantly, Julie agrees. She's had this whole thing where she is still very obviously grieving her mom. She keeps wearing her mom's things. They make a song based off of some of the lyrics that she's had in the past with about her friend supporting her through her mom's death. Um, and just constantly reminders of her mom to the point where she feels like the band is in her life because her mom has been trying to send her help to sort of move on through her grieving process. So they're like, cool, we think our unfinished business is playing at this show that we were supposed to play at right before we died. And she's like, okay, cool, we can try to do that. She also meets Luke's family because he keeps going to visit them. And she ends up giving them the song that he wrote with his blessing. That made me cry. If anyone ever says this show is unrealistic, okay, yes, but the thing with the lights coming on over the parents' face because the police have shown up to let them know that their son had died, and the fact that the lights came on and the mom immediately started crying is probably the most realistic thing in this entire show because, like, they are very clearly anxious about their kid and just it doesn't matter, those lights are on, he could be in jail, he could be dead, he could be in trouble. I would start crying too. um I don't think I've stopped talking. I'm talking extremely fast. But they end up being able to play their gig. Caleb, the evil guy, comes back. I love him. And he gets them to play a little bit at his house band, but they show up to the show anyway because Jolie thought they might have been ghosting on them again or might have already disappeared. Yeah, she definitely thought they had already disappeared and they'd run out of time. So she dedicated a song to them and then they pop up and it's great. Um and then she thought they passed on after that, has good moments with her family and her friend. Carlos lets her know that he knows about them being real, the ghosts. And she goes in to say thank you to the garage, but they're there because they didn't pass on and they're feeling very weak. There's an emotional connection, and then they feel all very strong and they can hug because up until this point they've been having difficulties with that sort of thing, including they couldn't touch anybody, but now they can hug her. And it's like, I adore it. The season ends with the bad guy going to the human crush who has shown up at her door and possessing him. And I'm like, yes, thank you. I want more. Give me more. Give Alex a kiss. They had that really great hug where Alex looked like he was about to bowl Willie over. It's so good. It's like rated TVG. It's a kid show. I don't care. Um, it's extremely stylistic, and this is going to be the time where I admit I was too old for High School Musical when it came out, or I just didn't care about it because I cared about fantasy, not about high school or musicals at the time. I know I'm a philistine about the musical shit, but they this show has a lot of these super hyper stylistic stuff, including the dialogue isn't necessarily realistic so much as it is hyper stylized. And I'm here for that shit. My suspensions of disbelief is on high because, like, I don't give a shit if it doesn't sound completely natural in the moment, like what someone might actually say. They do a lot of that. They've got really good dialogue in this. Just some of it happens to be the type of dialogue you would think of in the shower after you got in a fight with your friend. You're like, that would have been a really good thing to say at that moment. Really good. So it's that. And there's these two musical numbers, and my favorite one is right after it's the start of episode 4. Is right after Julie has accepted being in this band and has performed and is just having, you know, the feeling when you've been depressed for so long and something happens to break through. It's that she walks into school and there's this entire musical performance where she is the star and she is just off of this world happy, and then it cuts back to reality and she's just been singing to herself the entire time. And it does that again when she is dealing with emotions between Luke and the human love interest who's like Nick or Nate or something. I don't care. He's a puppy. That's it. He she's dancing with him, and he's in the lacrosse team, not dance. He doesn't dance, but the lacrosse team is taking dance because they want to try and get better and maybe actually beat a team at some point. So they've been paired up and they've been practicing for a while. This is a sort of performance piece, like the last time that they're going to be dancing together, essentially. And while she's dancing, she ends up imagining dancing with Luke, that he came in and they're having a musical number together. And at the end, the dance is over. She's still with the human, the living dude. And it's just like, oh, okay. I'm so confused. It's great. I love it. Plus, they show like the band people actually practicing. Um, and one of my favorite things, and this is why this hyper stylization works so well, is like they're ghosts, they're dead. So it makes sense that these people would have something that really fuels them. So like Willie really loves skateboarding, and it becomes sort of his, it's obviously his thing because he ran into Alex while skateboarding. He sneaks Alex into a museum to go skateboarding. His life revolves around skateboarding. He is, his soul is signed over to Caleb, but Caleb lets him out to go skateboarding because Caleb knows that makes him happy and makes him a really good lure to bring other ghosts into his soul contract, his evil ghost club. Which, by the way, they can eat food at the Ghost Club, and I'm just like, cool. So this is just Harry Potter's Death Day party, but actually cool. Um, oh, I love this show so much. I really highly recommend it. Like, the gay representation is just so nice. It's not even like all the big moments. There's little moments like Reggie saying, girls, right? And Luke's like, yeah. And Alex is like, no, and laughs as he starts to drum. Also, the fact that uses his drumming as an anxiety coping mechanism is fantastic. And I have been rambling about this for 22 minutes, but I can't be less hype on the show at all. I cannot wait for season 2. I want to see more of Caleb as Caleb because holy shit, I am here for the dead magician turned into a sort of theatrical lead. I actually have characters that are like that, but the whole distilling of their personalities to be one main focus sort of thing is just, it works so well to have these singular characteristics be especially heightened as ghosts. But that sound is the sound of someone doing maintenance, so I'm gonna go before it gets too loud. Thank you all so much for rambling. Thank you so much for 30 subscribers. That jumped up really quickly. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye bye.